Well, what a night in Milwaukee. The Republican candidates sparring over the economy, immigration, foreign policy, to name a few, in the fourth GOP debate, hosted by the Fox Business Network and the Wall Street Journal. Almost immediately, Ben Carson, when asked about the controversy over his past, using the opportunity to turn the tables a bit on Hillary Clinton.
I have no problem with being vetted. What I do have a problem with is being lied about, and then putting that out there as truth. When I look at somebody like Hillary Clinton, who sits there and tells her daughter and a government official that, no, this was a terrorist attack, and then tells everybody else that it was a video. Where I came from, they call that a lie.
And we saw early fireworks erupting between Donald Trump and Governor John Kasich over immigration. The Donald saying that millions living illegally in America need to go.
We're a country of laws. We either have a country or we don't have a country. We are a country of laws. Going to have to go out, and they'll come back, but they're going to have to go out, and hopefully they get back. But we have no choice if we're going to run our country properly and if we're going to be a country.
If people think that we are going to ship 11 million people who are law-abiding, who are in this country, and somehow pick them up at their house and ship them out of Mexico to Mexico, think about the families. Think about the children. Come on, folks. We all know you can't pick them up and ship them back across the border. It's a silly argument.
Then we had Marco Rubio and Rand Paul trading barbs over military spending and what the true meaning of conservatism is.
Yes, I do want to rebuild the American military. I know that Rand is a committed isolationist. I'm not. I believe the world is a stronger and a better place when the United States is the strongest military power in the world.
Marco, how is it conservative? How is it conservative to add $1 trillion expenditure for the federal government that you're not paying for? How is it conservative? How is it conservative to add $1 trillion in military expenditures? You cannot be a conservative if you're going to keep promoting new programs that you're not going to pay for.
I may respond more quickly. Very quickly, Senator.
In the meantime, all eyes on Jeb Bush, who came out swinging, well, for Jeb, in what some interpreted as an effort to save his struggling campaign. The former governor taking Trump to task for wanting Russian President Vladimir Putin to shoulder the job of wiping out ISIS. Listen.
Donald is wrong on this. He is absolutely wrong on this. We're not going to be the world's policeman, but we sure as heck better be the world's leader. There's a huge difference where without us leading, voids are filled. And the idea that it's a good idea for Putin to be in Syria, let ISIS take out Assad, and then Putin will take out ISIS, I mean, that's like a board game. That's like playing Monopoly or something. That's not how the real world works. We have to lead. We have to be involved.
Our own Sandra Smith, one of last night's moderators, joins us live from Milwaukee. Sandra, fantastic job to you, to Trish, to Neil, to Maria, and the reporters from the Wall Street Journal who helped out. You guys did a fantastic job. What a contrast from the last debate. Now, some are saying it was a little more policy than personality, but you pressed him, Sandra. You got in there. You got answers. What stood out to you last night?
Well, certainly having Governor Christie and Governor Huckabee set up for a fierce debate in that first debate of the night, which I moderated, and obviously having Governor Jindal and Senator Santorum there, it was a really interesting dynamic. And you point to a really interesting point, Andrea. Governor Christie, he made it very clear, well, A, that he didn't really feel like he needed to be in that first debate, but he used it as an opportunity to focus his attacks not on the candidate standing beside him, but on Hillary Clinton.
Speaking of that, we've got that sound. Take a listen to Chris Christie last night.
If you think that Mike Huckabee won't be the kind of president who will cut back spending, or Chris Christie or John Kasich, wait till you see what Hillary Clinton will do to this country and how she will drown us in debt. She is the real adversary tonight, and we better stay focused as Republicans on her. Hillary Clinton's coming for your wallet, everybody. Don't worry about Huckabee or Jindal. Worry about her.
This is a fundamental choice. Sending a big government Republican to D.C. is not enough to fix this problem. It's not enough just to beat Hillary Clinton. We've got to change the direction of our country.
he really went after Hillary Clinton, and I think Sandra Christie was the standout. I mean, we talked about this yesterday on Outnumbered. Who would stand out and perhaps get on that later debate the next time around? I think it was Chris Christie.
You know, and Senator Santorum really showed up last night. I mean, they all came to play. And obviously, I'm referencing a lot in that first debate, but in the second debate as well. I mean, you really got the feeling that these candidates came into Milwaukee. They knew this was a big moment, the last debate before we all head into the holidays, and everybody was trying to make their mark. So it was a substantive debate. I mean, it was a heavy policy-filled debate. The response that we're getting from voters is that we finally asked the questions that people wanted answered. And we heard from those candidates, Andrea, on taxes, tax reform, regulations, business, small business, corporate taxes. I mean, we heard everything from these candidates, even foreign policy we got to. It was amazing to have a real debate, Andrea.
Yeah, it's Harris now. Hey, Sandra. You know, I really enjoyed the fact that they had a longer period of time to talk. I mean, I realized in the first debate that there were 4 people on stage, and that certainly is an advantage in that sense. But I really felt like people could complete their sentences, that you guys kind of split up the time well, and as a viewer, really appreciated that. A couple things came to mind. The next GOP debate is December 15th. And so this kind of sets it up. You know, are we going to lose anybody off that first stage was the question that I had going in. They needed to prove everybody wrong about not putting them on the big stage. That was kind of what I was seeing on social media that people wanted to see. And from what I'm watching and the kind of response that I'm seeing, Sandra, Christie would have done that. Santorum got very loud at one point, and Bobby Jindal was taking shots at everybody. Is anybody talking about Governor Jindal's strategy last night? Because he got kind of chippy.
Well, social media response was that he seemed to be the weakest point in that debate because he went on the attack on all the candidates, and the other candidates used it as a means to attack Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. And that moment with Senator Santorum where you said he got fierce and he got loud was when he was applauding the Democrats for being so strong in their fight. It was certainly a moment that a lot of people are talking about as we react this morning, Harris.
Yeah, it was trending on Twitter right after he said it. I mean, it was one of the items trending. Yeah. It was interesting.
Yeah, but you referenced the format, Harris, and that was a big difference in this debate. We had 90 seconds for those candidates to respond to a question, and then if there was a follow-up, they got another 60 seconds. Yeah. It really allowed them to have a really constructive debate with us not having to get too involved. They were really turning to each other and challenging each other on immigration and taxes and business and wages. And so it was a really good format, and that bell really came in handy, didn't it?
Yeah, well, I kind of liked it.
It was a little bit like a game show, so it made it fun. And Sandra, you also, and you and the other moderators, I should say, were able to tie in foreign policy and the cost of that and how you would deal with that. And I want to go to Pete because we have a veteran on the couch today on Veterans Day. Pete, there was a really memorable moment in the second debate where you saw Carly and Trump spar over how to deal with Vladimir Putin. Take a listen.
If Putin wants to go and knock the hell out of ISIS, I am all for it 100%, and I can't understand how anybody would be against it.
One of the reasons I've said I wouldn't be talking to Vladimir Putin right now is because we are speaking to him from a position of weakness brought on by this administration, so I wouldn't talk to him for a while.
This is a debate that is just taking over the Republican Party, how to handle ISIS, how to deal with Putin. Your thoughts on that exchange? Who won?
Yeah, well, I think Carly Fiorina has been very strong talking about national security, and I thought she did in that exchange. The green room comment is a swipe, but in reality, she and others are pretty strong when talking about foreign policy and national security, whether it's Carly Fiorina or Marco Rubio or Jeb Bush or Ted Cruz. And Donald Trump's a little bit on uncertain footing when it gets to national security and foreign policy, so he'll talk about generalities of Trump, ISIS, Syria, but there's a lot of depth, there's a lot of nuance underneath all of that he doesn't really want to get into, and I think she does a really good job of cutting to the chase.
Yeah. Julie, another debate that I thought was pretty notable was the one between Rand Paul and Marco Rubio, the one we played in the intro about spending. And I thought what Rand Paul tried to do was speak out on behalf of fiscal conservatives and say, you're costing, us too much money with your expanded tax plan. This is why Rubio won the night, I thought. He turned it around, and rather getting hit on a spending issue, he took it to military. And he said, we want a strong national defense. The audience went wild. Who could disagree with that?
Well, Rand
Paul did not step up, but he didn't step up, and he didn't link the cost of war, and he didn't put him back. And that's why
I want
Rubio
a strong
won.
National defense, but I don't want us to go bankrupt.
Yep,
that's what
right.
Rand Paul said.
I thought Rubio, and I don't agree with a lot of his policies, and actually a lot of his math doesn't add up with respect to the budget. Rand Paul was right about that. But when it comes to purely debating, he blew everybody else away. He was the clear winner of the night, Harris. You and I had a Twitter exchange about it last night.
We did.
Because there was no contest that that Marco Rubio owned the night. He was prepared. He was prepared not just in what he was saying, but in the attacks that were coming his way and how to rebut them. Nobody else seemed to me to be as prepared and as erudite in refuting attacks and rebutting attacks as Marco Rubio. He's a very formidable candidate, and I think he just proved to the Republican Party why I think he should be their nominee, because he can take it to Hillary better than anybody else on that stage.
Yeah, and he showed his confidence. He was very confident and very strategic in what he was saying, I thought, which was very impressive. But I still think, Carson and Trump held their position, but Rubio definitely has gained ground.
And Andrew, it was interesting to watch Bush not attack Rubio in this debate. Clearly a strategic decision to back away from the tactic they used
a different strategy. And, Jeb did better than he normally does. I mean, he normally does pretty terribly. So it's all relative. He did a step up. It was better. They're saying, this morning, a lot of talk about Kasich, who I thought Harris came off like the Kanye West of the debate. Oh, my God. He was rude. He was interrupting everyone. I'm going to let you finish. And he sounded a bit like a liberal.
He came off as a complainer, is what he came off as.
Little Kanye.
He was not happy with the time he was getting, and that's always a slippery slope. I was paying a lot of attention because we were doing the digital debate on FoxNews.com. We were doing the post analysis, and so we were getting a lot of information. I paid a lot of attention to some of the tweets and Facebook postings. So a couple things. Newt Gingrich picked out Marco Rubio as the winner, Ted Cruz in second place in the debate last night. Among women on Facebook, the people to get the most mentions: Ben Carson, Donald Trump, in this order. Ted Cruz in third. Ted Cruz makes both the list of women and men in terms of Facebook not just association, but actual conversations of people, what they're talking about. But this is interesting, too. Top issues discussed during the debate. Well, it's an economics debate, taxes, immigration, minimum wage, jobs, and health care. Foreign policy didn't make that list. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. So as you kind of watch social media and people going back and forth, what I call the great focus group of the room, this is what was happening.
Yeah, and I do think that your point, Harris, is a good one. Trump did seem to warm up a little bit. That's where he hit his strong suit, immigration. I do agree with you, Stacey. Carson Trump did play it a little bit safe. Sandra, that CEO on the stage, I think the most seasoned, Carly Fiorina, the most seasoned outsider on the economy, got a lot of good answers. But I thought Neil Cavuto summed it up very well when he ended that debate. He said it wasn't about us, the moderators, it was about you, meaning the candidates. So again, a job so well done, Sandra. Come on back home, we miss you.
Thank you, and hey, happy Veterans Day to Pete. And Pete, I can't see your haircut, but I'm sure it looks fabulous. Thank you guys.
He looks 12, Sandra.
I'm trying to get into military regulations, Sandra. Thank you.
But thank you guys. Thank you for all your help, and thank you for all your promotion. It was a historic night for the Fox Business Network, and really a historic night for the party as well. They seem to all be happy with it.
Great job, Sandra. Pass our congratulations on to the rest of the FBN team.
Well,